So we have some major news for our Baltimore Ravens. It was a very hot one today in training camp, 93 degrees with a heat index of 100. We had a major injury scare with Isaiah Likely being carted off the field today. However, a report just came out that John Harbaugh expects it to be a few weeks, but they're going to have an MRI to confirm the severity of the injury. We're also going to talk about how there was contract buzz going around with Isaiah Likely possibly being extended today. We also had Mike Green and Odafe Owe both addressing the media today. We had some practice standouts, Devontez Walker, Roquan Smith, and much more Baltimore Ravens news. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy, Noah, here with For the Flock. As always, bringing you guys our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Baltimore Ravens today. Let's go ahead and go rapid fire, getting you all of your Ravens news and content, man. At number 1, to start with some injury updates, Jair Alexander, who had some fluid drained from his knee yesterday, was back at practice today after dealing with some swelling. That's good news for our Ravens in the secondary. Also back on the field was Rashad Bateman after being sent home with an illness yesterday. He was not happy about being sent home, but John Harbaugh said it was necessary for him not to get anybody else sick. But he recovered pretty quick because he was already back at camp today. Let's talk about this other injury update with Isaiah Likely. He was carted off the field after suffering an apparent ankle/lower leg injury at the end of today's practice.
We'll know more tomorrow. It's going to be a few weeks though. You know, there's something. He rolled his ankle, foot area. So we'll get an MRI tomorrow and see exactly what it needs to be done. But it'll be a few weeks. It's good. It's this early in camps.
If it was a high ankle sprain, those injury recovery timelines are typically a little bit longer. If it's a lower ankle injury, usually a little bit quicker. We're just obviously hoping for no structural damage, no tears or anything like that would require surgery, and hoping just for a sprain because he should be good to go for the season if it's a sprain, depending on the severity and if it's a high or low. However, right before this report came out, social media was buzzing about rumors. Isaiah Likely was reportedly offered a contract. So there was another report that came out that he had accepted a contract. However, Ian Rappaport, who was live reporting today from a training camp, actually said that they're not close, that there are some talks with contract talks, but here's what Ian Rappaport had to say.
Another player, not about the Cowboys, but another player who's been at least in talks for a potential deal is Isaiah Likely for the Baltimore Ravens. They have had conversations with his agent, Eric Burkhart. My understanding is things are not close, far apart, and a deal is not imminent. But there was a development with Likely, and it's not a good one. He went down in practice just a couple minutes ago, was carted off. John Harbaugh, talking to reporters just a couple seconds ago, said he looked like he rolled his ankle, kind of a foot ankle roll. He's going to have an MRI, but the belief is he is out a couple weeks, which, considering what maybe it could have been, not that terrible a situation for the Baltimore Ravens.
Drafted in the same year is tight end Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson was recently signed to a big contract extension, and people are saying that the deal in line for Isaiah Likely should be pretty similar. Isaiah Likely, the last 3 years, has 1,261 yards and 14 touchdowns. Jake Ferguson has a little bit more yardage at 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. However, in my opinion, Isaiah Likely is a clearly better tight end. He just hasn't had the same amount of opportunities being, behind Mark Andrews the last few years. Whenever Mark Andrews was an all-pro in the prime of his contract extension, whenever Isaiah Likely came into the league in 2022. In fact, the season prior to Isaiah Likely being drafted, Mark Andrews had 1,361 yards on 9 touchdowns. I mean, that was like a top 10 receiver, even among wide receivers that year. That's the type of production Mark Andrews put up right before Isaiah Likely was drafted. So he just simply hasn't had as many targets and opportunities as Jake Ferguson. And obviously Isaiah Likely's agent knows that and knows he's capable of being like an alpha, top 10, top 5 type of tight end in the league if he has more reps, targets, and opportunities as that tight end one. So I'm sure there's going to be some back and forth between these talks here because of the projecting aspect that, the agent's going to have to do, because the reality is, if Isaiah Likely was the guy in the offense, he would probably be getting paid like a top 5 tight end in the league this year, based off of the production he would have had hypothetically. That's my opinion on the situation, but the good news is that at least contract talks are happening between Likely and the agent. At number 3, Devontez Walker continues to turn heads. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point because I'm talking about the weapons, and I'm like, man, Zay Flowers needs his targets. He's going to be like a 1,300-yard receiver. Rashad Bateman had a breakout, 9 touchdowns and over 700 yards last year. He needs more targets. Then I'm like, well, Mark Andrews needs his targets. Then Derrick Henry needs his carries. Then Lamar's probably going to take some carries. And then you're like, well, D-Hop is added into the offense. But then Keaton Mitchell's healthy, and he's fast now. But Justice Hill also, he makes the most of his opportunity. Plus, Isaiah Likely. You're just like talking about all these guys that need targets, need to be featured in your offense. And then you have another guy emerging like a Devontez Walker, who was a rookie draft pick last year with 4.3 speed and flashed that at times, but wasn't always as consistent. And then you're getting reports in the camp this year that even throughout OTAs, he was turning heads. Now in camp with the pads on, he's one of Lamar's targets. Like, he's one of the guys that he's going to, and he's getting back shoulder balls, getting trusted in coverage against Jair Alexander. He's getting past the defense, making impressive catches. It's apparently clicking for him more mentally, able to process the game. And suddenly you're like, man, the Ravens have an embarrassment of riches at the receiver, tight end, running back position. Lamar Jackson said yesterday this is the most talented roster he's ever played on. Now, think about some of the rosters he has played on. Now, that's impressive, man. So I'm fired up about this team. They have everything they need in front of them. Devontez Walker, on the field, making plays, building chemistry with Lamar is great news, especially with the speed, the ability to stretch the field. Another home run threat to this offense would just be absolutely incredible. Plus, he's a little bit of a taller frame, longer arms, has that little bit of a bigger catch radius, a little bit of different flavor of a wide receiver. So I'm really excited about Devontez Walker. At number 4, let's flip it over to the defensive side of the football. Roquan Smith has been very active today. Multiple plays he blew up in the backfield, had a couple of likely sacks, and he's talking. He's chirping. Now, Roquan Smith feeling himself and making plays is nothing but good news for this defense because we need more confidence. We need more attitude. We need more dominance on the defensive side of the football, especially in the playoffs. We need guys to step up, punch you in the mouth, take the football away, and not apologize for it. I mean, this is the type of mentality we want to see bred on the defensive side of the football. Now, it's good news that it's back in the secondary with Jair Alexander, with his chippiness, his attitude, his swagger. Then also Kyle Hamilton, he'll come down, hit you in the mouth, and fire up the whole defense, even though he's not quite as vocal. But then Roquan Smith, he's a big part of the defense, a leader. He's a multiple-time All-Pro. He's been one of the best linebackers in the league for quite a few years now. Didn't quite have the year that we were expecting last year. There was a couple of times where it looked like he was out of position in coverage, barely got beat here or there, but let's not forget the caliber of football player Roquan Smith is. I mean, he is, a top 3 linebacker in this league. He's paid like it. He's expected to perform like it. Even though last year was a little bit of a down year, I'm expecting big things from Roquan Smith. Also reported across from him, Trenton Simpson is looking like he's primed to be the starting linebacker next to him. He's looking really good. He put on even more muscle. I remember seeing him in camp a few years ago. I think he was a rookie. And just thinking, man, this guy stands out. Big muscular legs. He's tall. He's lean. Just really rocked up. But putting on even more muscle is good news for him. And he's very explosive. He's got speed. He can blitz. If the Ravens can solidify that position between him, Jake Hummel, or Teddy Buchanan, that'll be really good for the Ravens to find out their starters sooner rather than later, and also probably see some open competition and some reps in preseason for all of these guys. First preseason game right around the corner, about 9 days away. So at number 5, let's talk about this pass rush. Odafe Owe and Mike Green both addressed the media today. Here's what Odafe Owe had to say about the rookie outside linebacker Mike Green.
Gets after, and he turned it on even more when he had the pads on. So he's good. Twitchy guy. Just puts his head down and works. Picks up things fast. Does things within the defense. What he's told to do, and still makes flashy plays, and he's physical. So the sky's the limit for him.
So he said, hey, he's been looking good, but he stepped it up even more when the pads came on. He's physical and twitchy. He's going to be good. Now, here's what Mike Green had to say about a veteran that he could kind of, look to and lean upon. And it was a surprise, the response that we got. It wasn't Kyle Van Noy. It wasn't Odafe Oweh. But here's who it was.
T-Rob. I'll say T-Rob because just the way he goes about his day. Just the way I see him work. He's out here flying around. He's being very disruptive. And I would say like he does a lot of things right. So just seeing him, I didn't really know about him too much before I got here, but my time being here, that's definitely a vet that I can look up to and I can follow behind because he does the right things.
So Tavius Robinson, man, this guy, Tavius Robinson has done nothing but improve each year. He's physical in the run game. He's physical as a pass rusher. And he's just gotten better and better each year. He plays with a high motor, high efforts. The coaching staff loves him. So Tavius Robinson, he did have a big step up. Got some more playing time last year. Didn't get on the field as much with his on pass rushing downs, but did get on the field a lot in early downs to set the edge. Now let me show you 2023. Got on the field limited action. Had 1 sack and 26 tackles. And 2024, last year in that sophomore year, right? He had 32 tackles and 3.5 sacks. So, if this guy gets a little bit more playing time, more production, he's in that 6-7 sack range, good on first down. That's great for a rotational pass rusher for this defense, more depth at that position. And then Van Noy, obviously the excitement buzzing around Mike Green. And also, we're expecting big things from Odafe Oweh. Also, it's reported David Ojabo has been looking really good. So if we see what he does in preseason, he could be in that mix as well. He's always had, a lot of potential and has flashed here and there, but health has been a concern for him. Some more news we got to hit on real quick. Daniel Falele, some more news we got to hit on real quick. Daniel Falele, it's reported he lost 20 pounds. We talked about the workout that we saw in the offseason. He looked really good. Put in a lot of work. Ronnie Stanley talks about how much work he put in, how good he looks, and how much he wants to improve going into that contract year. Falele lost 20 pounds, says he feels 100 times better than he did this time last year. So seeing improvement at right guard, another step up in the second year for right tackle Roger Rosengarten. Obviously Linderbaum, he's the caliber of player he is. And then left tackle Ronnie Stanley, another healthy year where he got to condition and work in the offseason. We'll see what happens at left guard. But the Ravens' offensive line, I think, will be even better than it was last year. Other news is the Ravens actually just hired a long-term former NFL referee, Tony Michalek, don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry, to work with the team and help out with rule interpretation and penalty explanations and prevention. He's been with the team throughout training camp already, and this is a similar move to what the Bills did hiring John Parry last year for their, penalty prevention. The Ravens had the most penalty yards in the NFL last year, and it's a big emphasis this season is getting less penalties. Remember, imagine with how good the offense was, how good the team was in general, how many wins they got last year, winning the division again, the 3rd seed. The year before that, they were the 1 seed. Imagine how much better it would have been if they just had an average amount of penalties yardage instead of, the worst in the league. How much more dominant could they have been? Because they had to overcome penalties a lot last year, and they did. They converted a lot of 2nd and 20s, 3rd and 15s, those long penalty situations. They converted, but, it just makes it that much more difficult. So let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section below, man. As always, smash the like button if you got any value out of today's content. And make sure you have your subscribe and notification bell on so you don't miss any Baltimore Ravens news or content. Camp right around the corner, season right around the corner as well, man. I'm fired up for it. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
wasn't looking. He ran me over.